What's up, everybody? It's Goomer22. We're going to be going over low tiers in draft that I think can be useful. I know I kind of rag on people's low tiers that they pick in draft because I really don't like me personally, I don't like drafting a super top heavy draft where your low tiers are throwaways. This list specifically pertains to the VDL draft league, but a lot of these mons will probably be in the lower tiers in other draft leagues, so feel free to use this for that too. But I'm going to be going over 50 low tiers that you can use that you might be overlooking for some reasons, and I think that can sometimes fill a niche on a team. For low tiers, I think you're not going to have a great base stats, so what you want to have a low tier is maybe a unique ability, a unique move, such as like Fake Out. You're probably not going to have Follow Me or Rage Powder in the lowest tier. But you might get like Knockoff, Trick Room. You probably don't want to fill a Type Core in as your tier 5. You might want priority moves are really nice, and also just moves that can proc weakness policy. So like Ice Shard, Mach Punch, those can be kind of useful. I used Tyrogue last season, and that was for as because he gets Fake Out. You can go like Sash Counter if you want, because that's the other thing is with the low base stats, you're usually going to want to like Sash or Scarf them because they usually don't have good speed either. But you can also do with Tyrogue, you can do like Vacuum Wave or Mach Punch and potentially proc something. So I had like Tyrogue Kabutops where you could proc Weak Armor and Weakness Policy. Nobody else on my team had Mach Punch, so it was like a nice way to fill that. Like, yeah, I'm not going to bring Tyrogue most games, but 1 or 2 games I might, just for that specific setup. So that's what you want out of a tier 5, in my opinion, or the lowest tier. Tier 5 is the lowest tier in VDL. So, all right, let's start going through these. So first one, Amara is in the lowest tier here. Now it really doesn't have great stats, but it does have snow warning. So if you wanted to go with a hail mode, you could go Amara. I mean, base 77 HP. It's not the worst. Maybe with Eviolite, maybe you can survive a hit or something. It does get Mirror Coat, so that's interesting. You could, sash it and Mirror Coat something. I don't know. Other than that, probably not super useful. Freeze Dry is an interesting move, though. Not a lot of Pokemon get that, so that can be really useful dealing with like a Gyarados or Dracovish, something like that. So base 46 speed. I mean, even if you Scarf it though, like at 107, you'd be looking at like about 160 speed there. So it's not bad. All right, next one on the list, Basculin. We're going to try to go through these fairly quickly since there's 50 of them. Basculin, I think, is really interesting, especially depending on the league and if you have to specify the form. But if you get both forms, I mean, Basculin gets 4 really good abilities, which is interesting because it makes it more annoying for your opponent to prep for. Reckless, Rockhead, Adaptability, Mold Breaker. That's really, really useful. Mold Breaker, you could ignore like a Gastrodon Storm Drain. You've got adaptability for really strong Aqua Jets or just liquidations, and then Rockhead and Reckless, those can be really useful because Basculin gets Head Smash, which some people might not know. Really useful move there. It also gets Soak and Final Gambit, and Aqua Jet, so I think Basculin's a really solid choice. It's base 98 speed, which is really fast for a low tier, and 92 attack really isn't that bad. I mean, that's stronger than Dracovish. And so, I don't think Basculin's a terrible pick. I mean, you get Flip Turn. You can also Sash it and use Endeavor. That's a neat move. It also, I mean, it gets decent coverage, right? Ice. You look at the max moves. I mean, yeah, you can do max Airstreams. It's just, it's really not that bad of a pick. Not super bulky. You're probably going to want to Sash it, but still pretty solid pick for a low tier. Let's see, next one is Combuskin. I think Combuskin's pretty interesting. Let's look at the base stats first. So 85 attack and special attack really isn't terrible. And with 55 speed, so if you go max speed at 117 and like potentially sash it, or even you don't have to sash it, if you just protect the first turn, you're getting speed boost if you run speed boost on Combuskin, and now you're at base or now you're at like looking at like 170 speed essentially, which is outspeeding a lot of stuff. I think like probably 110s maybe. And you get counter feint, which is kind of an interesting move sometimes. Coaching, especially if you do sash it and you protect the first turn and they don't go into you, then you have essentially almost 2 turns of guaranteed coachings to get off. And yeah, like I said, going physical or special is really interesting. You can also sash it and go reversal after a speed boost. So like you get helping hand, will-o-wisp. Yeah, I think Combustion's a pretty solid choice considering you're always going to want to run speed boost, but yeah, obviously you're probably not going to run. You could run Eviolite potentially if they don't hit you with a super effective move. You probably won't die, or even a weaker super effective move. But yeah, the ability to go physical or special. I mean, you could just straight up scarf it and go like overheat or something. Like not a bad fire type if you don't have one. Like I said, it's not really meant to fit a core, but I guess for coverage, it's not bad. Another one is Dead End. Dead End. The plus ability is kind of interesting. If you pair it with a plus or a minus, that can usually be pretty helpful. Pickup and cheek pouch, they're okay. But base 101 speed for a low tier is really, really nice. Breaking that base 100 speed barrier. I mean, special attack 81, not super special, but especially with a fast Pokemon like Dead End, getting ally switch and getting fairy, immunity to dragon. That's really, really nice. You can go charm, entrainment, super fang's really nice. You don't even need damage. Like any Pokemon you hit's just taking half its health. You can do fast volt switches for weakness policy. You can also parabolic charge. It might be one of 2 Pokemon besides Heliolisk that gets parabolic charge, which will ignore follow me and rage powder, which is really, really nice because it's a spread move. You can proc weakness policy that way. You've got helping hand, U-turn also to proc potentially, and electro web and eerie impulse. Like you've got eerie impulse and charm, and you're really fast, so that's nice. You can do fling stuff. Yeah, I think Dead End's a really, really solid pick for a low tier. Next one, let's go Dottler. So Dottler is it's a middle evolution, so you can use Eviolite, and base 30 speed's really low, so that's nice. It has Trick Room, and base 50 HP, 80 and 90 base defense. Like you throw Eviolite on that, yeah, you can live some solid super effective hits. Plus you can do use Recover and be really annoying. But yeah, you can set up Trick Room. You've got Ally Switch. You can, I guess you could trick something if you really wanted to. It gets Compound Eyes, which is usually what you're going to want to use, but you could use Telepathy potentially also. That's not a bad ability. Gets screens though. You can just set up Trick Room and start doing screens. It gets Helping Hand. That's a really nice, like I said, you always want priority. Power Swap isn't terrible. If somebody else sets up a weakness policy, you can swap it away with Power Swap. Setting up like Magic or Wonder Room, those could be useful sometimes. So yeah, not a bad pick through Dottler, especially if you like need a potential Trick Room user. I think that's really not a bad pick. Dunsparce is just interesting. You can do some weird setup meme stuff with it, especially since it gets Serene Grace. You could also do Beat Up Rattled to boost its speed because it's got base 45, so but it's got like a base 100 HP, which is really high actually for a low tier, and 70 and 65 defense. Like if you're not getting hit with a super effective move, you're probably living, and that's really nice because with Serene Grace you do get some interesting tools like Bite, or I think it gets Body Slam, and or you can go Rock Slide even. It does get Helping Hand as well, so that's not terrible. But you can set up stuff with like Glare, Yawn, and you can also roost up if you start coiling and getting set up there. It can actually be really annoying to take down. So you can do some stuff with Dunsparce. I wouldn't say it fits one specific role, kind of, but it is just kind of annoying to deal with sometimes. So not a terrible low tier pick. All right, let's see. Emolga. Emolga is really interesting. Base 103 speed, so similar to Dead End, except for a little less special attack, but you can go physical or special, so that's kind of neat. But it's got similar stuff, right? It's got defog. I don't think Dead End gets that, so that you can do defog, interesting stuff, lower in evasion and in-game ramp terrain. You have taunt. Taunt's pretty useful, especially since you're fast. You do get the Volt Switch to proc stuff and Electro Web and Eerie Impulse and Charm. So Eerie Impulse and Charm again. Helping Hand U-Turn, similar to Dead End. You don't have the Fairy, like the Dragon immunity with Fairy, but you do have Electric immunity with Motor Drive. So that's pretty interesting. And Static, since you are fast, if they are going to fake you out, that potentially they get paralyzed. And you get Nuzzle too. So fast Nuzzles is really, really annoying. Okay, next one. I think Farfetch is actually kind of interesting. Not the Galar version, the normal version. So the normal version, Kanto version, base 90 attack, which really isn't terrible, and base 60 speed, so you could scarf it. But what's interesting about the normal version is you do get first impression. You could do simple beam. You could do some interesting simple beam stuff there. You get feint, which isn't bad. I guess you could do power up sky attack if you really wanted. But let's see what else. I think no. Oh, it does get helping hand. Yeah. Okay. I thought it got helping hand. So you get helping hand. You get U-turn, which if you scarf, putting U-turn on it really isn't that bad because you can just U-turn out if you don't have a good matchup there. But the standard level up, you get knockoff, and you can always throw this Leaf Blade or Brave Bird and give it a leak. But what's really interesting is it gets Defiant, and Inner Focus actually. So you can prevent Intimidate and flinching, or if you think you're gonna have your stats lowered through Intimidate or some other means, having Defiant with base 90 attack really isn't that bad. I mean, dare I say you could Dynamax it sometime. So that's kind of interesting. Just to potentially, what am I trying to say? Basically, you're making your opponent think twice about bringing Intimidate against you. You're making them second guess it. Another interesting one is. Here, I'll start with why isn't it going? Ghastly and Haunter. So they're usually both low tier. You might have one, you might have both, but they do similar stuff. You have 3 immunities actually in ground, fighting, and normal, so that's really, really cool. And honestly, if you look at it, like Ghastly's base 80 speed and 100 special attack, like you could scarf it or even like Specs or sash it, and like that's a really solid special attack. That's more than a lot. You get Haze, Perish Song, Clear Smog to ruin setups. You could do some interesting corrosive gas stuff maybe. You also get Ally Switch, super annoying. Foul Play, Trick, Taunt, Skill Swap. You can Skill Swap Levitate, do some interesting stuff there. That's pretty cool. You get Trick Room too. A Will-O-Wisp, maybe Fast Weather there, Icy Wind. So, Sucker Punch to proc weakness policies potentially. And you also just get Hypnosis hacks also. And I think Haunter gets pretty much the same stuff, maybe a little bit more coverage moves. But again, Haunter 95 and 115 special attack. That's really, really nice for the bottom tier at least. So that's a solid pick in my opinion. This is another interesting one, Glalie. So I feel like most drafts don't pick Glalie. You've got base 80 across the board. Ice isn't a super defensive type, but with base 80s, if you go bulky, you probably won't die to a hit. And if you are taking a super effective hit, you can probably run like one of the berries, Akka or Chople or Chardy. But base 80 speed ain't bad, and you can go physical or special, which is annoying for your opponents. Steel Roller to remove terrains. You can do switcheroo stuff potentially. Again, you can Scarf or Specs it. You get Frost Breath, which you could do some Frost Breath crit stuff potentially. You also get Freeze Dry, which I think Freeze Dry is a really, really useful move in draft to deal with water types or some of those like that it can be double super effective on, like I said earlier, Dracovish or Gyarados or Pelipper or something. You do get inner focus, so you can prevent flinching, which is cool if you want to scarf it. And maybe go like special, like Scarf Blizzard or something. But you also get Moody, which if you just want to, either meme a little bit or go for like, you get some crazy Moody boost, either attack, special attack, or speed. You could maybe start doing some damage. It'd be pretty interesting. You also get Ice Shard to proc weakness policies, which is nice. And like I said, you can scarf it and do like Icy Wind or Blizzard or. It doesn't get too much other coverage really, but Weather Ball's kind of interesting. You can maybe do some stuff with that. All right, next one, Graplocked. Graplocked I think is really, really interesting. Limber and Technician, not the best abilities, especially because it doesn't have great tools with Technician. But Limber's not bad. You can't be paralyzed. Octolock, if you're afraid of like a stall team, it can deal with that, so that's really, really nice. You get Taunt, Detect, Topsy-Turvy. Malamar is the only other user of that can potentially ruin setups. I mean, you're only base 42 speed, so not great, but 118 attack, especially in a low tier, is nothing to scoff at. I mean, that's really nice, especially like with these stats. Like you throw like maybe an Assault Vest on, Dynamax it, and that could be a solid Dynamax candidate, honestly, especially in Trick Room. It's one of the something to note. I think it's one of the few fighting types that actually gets physical water coverage, which is just kind of interesting. Not that fighting types always need that, but I feel like a lot of fighting types don't get waterfall or liquidation, stuff like that. So that's something unique about it. And you get Soak. You probably won't use Pain Split too much, but Sucker Punch also, since you're slow, like you have that big attack stat. You have that big attack stat, and so Sucker Punch can do some work. You also get Coaching, but I don't know if you would find too many opportunities to use that with Graplocked. But yeah, a solid attack there. Let's see. Heatmore is actually, I think, a little bit underrated for what people give it credit for. So looking at the stats, not super defensive, 66 in the defenses. 65 speed isn't terrible for a Scarf. 85 HP isn't terrible. I mean, you can give it one of the berries maybe to live a hit, like a water or like a Paso Berry or Shuka or Chardy. But with these decent attack stats, anything over 100 for a low tier is actually pretty good in a stat. So you can go physical or special, which is annoying. You get Sucker Punch to potentially proc weakness policies, or just hit Pokemon priority because you're not that fast. But a Scarf Flare Blitz or a Scarf Heat Wave coming off from a Heatmore, like that'll do some serious damage. In addition, something interesting. You get Fire Lash. Yeah, you're mainly looking at fire coverage, and if you go physical, you get a lot more actually. But you get some interesting special ones too. And with White Smoke, it's essentially the same as Clear Body. So you could do like Bulldoze weakness policy stuff, and at 128 speed, you're looking at 190. If you hit the opponents, essentially you'll outspeed 190s, which are I think like Cinderace, like base 119 or 120. Like so you'll outspeed a lot of stuff if you go max speed. And then you just go attack or special attack, throw a weakness policy on it. I mean, you could definitely do some interesting stuff with Heatmore, I think, with Bulldoze weakness policy stuff. Especially with it gets a decent amount of coverage. So yeah, I think Heatmore is definitely a solid candidate as a tier 5, even though it doesn't really seem to be picked that often. But another one that we have here is Impidimp. Prankster, anything with Prankster, that's one ability that you might see actually in a low tier, and that's really, really nice. Frisk is also another good one, but you probably wouldn't use it on Impidimp. But yeah, with Prankster, you don't get as much stuff as Grimmsnarl, but you do get Fake Out, Swagger, Fake Tears, Flatter even could be interesting. You do get Sucker Punch, which not great attack stat, but it is stab. and it'll still do work against a ghost type or psychic. Burning Jealousy, which is interesting. I mean, obviously you can probably sash it, but it's slow, so you'll get it off before they boost. You get stab foul play. That's really underrated, I think. Like stab foul play can do a lot of work. I bet like a helping hand stab foul play probably Oko's a Dragapult, like Dynamax or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. You get Prankster Thunderwave. You don't get screens, but still, I think the Swagger, if you have like an own Tempomon, could be really useful. And then so speed control, more damage with Fake Tears, and then boosting up yourself or annoying your opponents with Swaggers and Flatters. So not terrible. And again, you have 2 immunities here in Psychic and Dragon. So Impotem's a solid choice. Another one is Kadabra. Kadabra gets inner focus, so it can't be flinched, which is really nice if you want to Scarf it, or Sash it, honestly. But base 105 speed, 120 special attack. That's really, really nice for a low tier, especially since you're going to be sashing most low tiers anyways. You get Ally Switch, you get Foul Play again. That's nice, but special coverage not great. You got about 4 types essentially. But hey, that's you can throw off a huge base 120 attack, special attack. That's really, really nice. So yeah, and you could Trick Room, and if you sash it, you could go Trick Room, I guess. So yeah, that's really not that bad. Thunderwave, speed control, you get screens. So I think Kadabra is definitely a solid choice in the low tiers. Another one is Kingler, and you can sometimes you can Gmax it, sometimes you can't. In ours you can, so I think that's a really interesting choice. You have Hyper Cutter for Intimidate prevention, and probably wouldn't use Shell Armor too much, but Sheer Force also is really interesting. I think like Crab. I'm not sure if Crab Hammer actually goes off Sheer Force, but you get Liquidation, which Liquidation does. So Sheer Force Liquidation would do really nice damage. You're at base 75 speed, which isn't terrible. I mean, you could definitely throw an Assault Vest on with 130 attack and 115 speed, or 115 defense. I mean, Assault Vest would be really nice on Kingler. Or even just like a, Wakan or Rindo Berry, if you're afraid of that. And yeah, if you can snag the Gmax form, that would be really nice. You get knockoff, gets Ally Switch, which is really interesting. Some people don't know that. And yeah, like decent physical coverage too. Yeah, basically just a strong attacker that you can potentially Assault Vest, which is interesting. Any mon that you don't necessarily have to use Sash on as a low tier is I think really interesting, because again, you could Sash it and just throw off a big attack move and go Adamant, or you could Assault Vest, make it maybe a little bit bulkier. So that's a really, really cool option. Another one is Krokorok. If you need Intimidator, that's not bad. You probably wouldn't run Moxie. You definitely wouldn't run Anger Point, but you could potentially run Moxie. I mean, you probably wouldn't though. You have base 74 speed and base 82 attack. Essentially, what you're going to want to do is run either Scarf or Sash. You can Sash counter, but getting ground immunity isn't bad, and same with Dark. So you have 2 immunities there, an Electric and Psychic. But you can, I think you get beat up. Does it get beat up? Maybe you don't. Yeah, so it gets beat up. So you could use it as a Scarf beat up user, and you get Intimidate, which is just nice. But you could also Scarf Swagger, Foul Play, Stab Foul Play, like I said, really strong. Scarf Earthquake isn't terrible, or High Horsepower even. You get Aqua Tail, so that's decent, and some of the Fangs for coverage moves. So yeah, I don't think if you maybe want an Intimidator, I think Krokorok's not bad, especially and the other thing about tier 5s or the lowest tier if you're using them is mons that make prep more annoying for your opponent. Can also just help, even if you never plan on bringing them. So if you draft Krokorok, even if you never plan on bringing it, it might force your opponent to run a White Herb on a Pokemon because they really don't want to be intimidated, and that is just one more thing that can mess with them. Whereas if you just grab a throwaway mon, well, they don't have to prep for that anymore, and it's easier for them against your team. if you plan on never bringing them, you drafted a top heavy draft. Hey, if you have an intimidator on there, they might have to respect it, and so I think that type of stuff is also really key when you're thinking about what you're drafting. A sturdy is another really nice ability for low tiers because you don't have to use sash, so you can use it on another mon. But Rockhead, Heavy Metal, and Sturdy, all actually pretty good abilities for layer on, especially because you have base 90 attack, nothing to scoff at, 140 defense with body press, I believe, yeah, so that's pretty solid. And with Eviolite, you could be really bulky on the defensive side. You have a couple 4x weaknesses, so that's tough. But you do have Sturdy, so you could also run Sturdy. And you could run like Rockhead Head Smash as well. That's really strong. You get Sturdy Metal Burst. That's a really unique combo there with base 40 speed, so you're almost always going to be going slower. And you do get, I think you get Heavy Slam. Yeah, so Heavy Slam and Heavy Metal. That's also a really nice combo there. You can set up rocks. You can do Sturdy Endeavor, so that's also really nice. Or you could do like Sturdy Kustop Berry stuff, so you can go first when you get down to Sturdy. You can run Steel Roller to get rid of terrain. But yeah, I don't think Laron's a terrible pick either. All right, next one. Another unique ability here. Or not unique, but just nice, is Storm Drain. Suction Cups really isn't terrible. Or no, I don't think that. I'm thinking of Sticky Hold. No, yes. Storm Drain is really nice on the leap. You can, base 61 special attack. You could go with Surf stuff and boost its special attack. Or you can just redirect water moves to protect one of your fire, rock, or ground types. Base 23 speed, that's kind of nice to underspeed Trick Room mons as well. You could go power Meteor Beam if you really wanted to be risky there. But with 77, 87 on defense and 66 HP, you can be decently bulky with a Eviolite. You probably won't go down to a super effective move. And then yeah, it gets you could maybe be annoying with like Ingrain and Stockpile stuff, just kind of stall. You could set up rocks, Mirror Coat, and then yeah, with stall you could even recover. So not terrible. I think the Storm Drain is the main thing you're going to be using Lily for. And again, on a mon that you're gonna use it for its ability probably is Lickitung. So you get Own Tempo and Oblivious, which you can block Intimidate. You probably wouldn't want to run those though. For the most part, you want to run a Cloud 9. You just use it as a weather counter. Again, if you have a Lickitung on your team, sure, you may never bring it. But now, if your other opponent has a strong weather mode, well, they have to consider the fact that you might bring Lickitung. And you can even bring it to team preview, even with no intention of actually bringing it. Just because it makes it really annoying for your opponent on what to bring. And so it throws a wrench in their plan. And just a little bit more of a headache to prep for. But base 30 speed and then, yeah, 90 HP, 75 on the defenses, that's really solid for Eviolite, for a low tier, that is. You get Steel Roller to get rid of terrain. You get, but if you were going more supportive and bulky, you would maybe want to go with move like Helping Hand. You can trap people with Whirlpool. You could, Bulldoze lower their speed, or Icy Wind lower their speed. You could change the weather. Just go for like Thunder Punch or Fire Punch or Ice Punch hacks with like the 10% chance to freeze, burn, or paralyze. You can go for, actually Lick would be better. You get 30% chance for paralysis or Body Slam. But you can also go Knockoff. I think Knockoff's really interesting. Disable. So you get some interesting annoying moves because you don't want a mon that they can just ignore either and just leave on the field like, all my friends are dead, You want to be doing stuff that's at least, either decent damage or annoying your opponent, like with, moves like Knockoff, getting rid of their items. Another kind of interesting one is Linoon Galar. So gets the ability Quick Feet, which is normally what you're going to run around. You could go Quick Feet and like Toxic or Burn Orb, and you get 50% speed boost, and you're at base 100 speed. You could also run Eviolite because you are already so high anyways, but you get Parting Shot, Knockoff, Stab. The regular lining gets Simple Beam and Extreme Speed, but I think the Galar version is maybe a little bit better. Quick Guard to protect against fast fake outs potentially. You get Trick, which is interesting. I think you get you might get Foul Play. No, I don't know if you get Foul Play. Yeah, you don't. But you do get Baby Doll Eyes, which is nice to lower their attack, and you get Switcheroo, or you also get Trick. You get fast Snarls, especially with Quick Feet, Scary Faces, Taunt. So there's some decent stuff you could do. Fake Tears, Helping Hand. Yeah, if you just protect and get that Burn Orb or Toxic Orb, you can be a really annoying fast support. So I think that's a solid pick. Lopunny is also really nice. You get Klutz for like Switcheroo, either Burn Orb or Assault Vest or like Lagging Tail or something like that. You get Baby Doll Eyes after you, which is kind of interesting because you're pretty fast. I think it gets Fake Out. Let's see here. Yeah, you get Fake Out and 105 speed with 76 attack. Not great, but hey, 84 defense and 76 specialty. It really isn't too bad, and 65 HP. Yeah, you can do fast. Fast U-turn, fast. You've got Helping Hand, Fake Tears. That's not terrible. You get Weather, Thunder Wave. Charm. If they're not faster than you, so you get some interesting support moves with Lopunny. Not super offensive, but hey, Fake Out's really nice to get, especially with a mon that you don't necessarily have to sash. That's really nice. Another one I think is potentially interesting is Lunatone. Lunatone is you have an immunity through Levitate, so that's kind of nice. Not terrible on the defenses. HP is 90, 85 specialty. I mean, defense really isn't too good, but with special attack is 95. Like, you don't have to sash it, and you could run with Power or Meteor Beam at 95 special attack. Like, you'll be doing work. You can also just run like Power Gem. You get Ally Switch, so that's always annoying. And Skill Swap. You can do Skill Swap, Levitate stuff. You do get Rocks. You get Weather Ball is kind of interesting. Helping Hand. I think you can do some stuff with Lunatone. I think you get Trick Room potentially. Yeah, you get Trick Room. So that's nice. But you can go for Hypnosis Hacks. You can even set up a Rock Polish. Who knows? But I don't think Lunatone's a terrible pick. Again, this is your low tier, so it's not going to have the best stats. You just want something that can do something niche, which I think a special rock type, like 95 a special attack for a rock type, is kind of unique. And people might not think about it. Machoke, it's really just budget Machamp, but again, you get still a lot of the same stuff. 106 speed with Scarf, you're looking at plus 53, so about 160 speed, 159. So, and you have 100 attack, and you can do Scarf, No Guard, Dynamic Punches, or you could do Coachings. You get Bullet Punch to proc weakness policies. You get counter, and again, yeah, with 70 and 60 defenses with 80 HP, like, throw an Eviolite on there, you might not die to a Max Airstream, depending on how strong the opponent is. Who knows? You get decent coverage with the Elemental Punches. You get Helping Hand, so that's kind of cool. Knockoff. I mean, yeah, I think strong stab fighting is really useful. Let's see, you get Mawile. Mawile is another Intimidator with 2 immunities, Poison and Dragon, so that's not terrible. You probably won't run Sheer Force or Hypercutter, but I mean, I guess you could if you were trying something really tricky, because you're not super defensive. Base 50 HP and 55 specialty ain't great. I mean, with 85 defense, you might live a hit. Who knows? But yeah, you're not really fast, and that's a problem. You do get foul play, so that's not bad because you don't have to rely on that 85 attack stat. You can go you can just go bulk and then it's like run foul play maybe. You get Helping Hand, so that's not terrible. The problem is you get Taunt and Fake Tears. So like I guess if you wanted to Scarf it, I mean you are at 112 speed, so you're looking at 66, so, or sorry, 56, so 168, so that's not bad. You outspeed a decent amount of stuff there. I guess you could do Scarf, Scarf Ironhead, Sheer Force. That's probably not doing terrible damage. Do you get Play Rough? You do get Play Rough actually, so that's kind of interesting because there's not many physical fairy attackers. So and with Sheer Force, that gets boosted. So Scarf, Play Rough would be kind of interesting. You get Sucker Punch too to proc weakness policies. So you have a couple priority moves: Helping Hand, Sucker Punch. I mean, again, the main thing's probably going to be Intimidate, but using that Sheer Force, Play Rough, or Ironhead could be really useful. All right, another one which I think is really nice is Ninjask. So you get Speed Boost. You probably wouldn't use Infiltrator, but you could sash it and just go for like a Sword Stance and then Baton Pass. Again, it also makes prep annoying because of this 160 speed tier. Like now your opponent has to figure out if they want to, do they want to outspeed Shedinja if they're using Scarf on them on? Do you make them put a little bit more speed investment in their Scarf user? That's wasted EVs that could use on HP or another stat. So that can be really annoying. You get Skitter Smack, so you can lower special attack, and you have base 90 attack, so that's really not terrible. And you get U-turn, so you could just U-turn out if they're trying to quick pick you up with a Rock Slide or something. You also get Fast Sandstorm and Sunny Day Weather, which is really, really interesting. You get Sword Stance. Like I said, you can do Sword Stance, Baton Pass. You can do Final Gambit. I think that was an egg move. You do Final Gambit, which at base 61 HP, if you go max HP, 168 HP Final Gambit, that could take out a decent number of mons, especially if they're not going max HP. If they're going like more attack, you also get Screech, which is really cool, because you could just use Screech and then you're probably gonna be the fastest, and then you have a physical attacker just go to town and blow something up. So that's really, really cool, I think. Other than that, you just have Stab Bug, but that's not a terrible thing. And Flying, I guess. I guess you could go Flail if you went Scarf too. Or not Scarf, Sash. If you do, if you do a Sword Stance, they get you down to Sash. You're getting a speed boost. You're probably outspeeding Scarf stuff now, and you have Flail. I mean, that would do big damage. So nothing to scoff at there. Okay, Octillery. Octillery's interesting. You get Moody, so that's really interesting. You probably wouldn't use Sniper, but you maybe could. You've got 75 on the HP defense and defenses, which isn't that bad. 45 speed, potential to Scarf, but might just want to invest more in HP. And then ability to go physical or special is really annoying. Gets a decent amount of coverage. You get Water Spout, so you could do Scarf Water Spouts potentially with Stab, 105 special attack. It's really not terrible. Or you could use it in Trick Room too, and Moody, and you have base 45 speed. So as long as you don't boost speed, who knows, you could lower speed, but you could boost up that special attack or attack, and you could actually run a mixed set of physical and special. And then if you get a boost on one or the other, you just go with that. You get Helping Hand. You get Soak. You could Scarf Soak, I guess, potentially. Yeah, you get some nice moves. Rock Blast. So I think a fully evolved Mon with decent stats like that is really not terrible at all in a low tier. You get Pinsir, which has Hyper Cutter. So you get a 125 attack, 85 speed. That's really nice. You don't even have to Scarf it or anything, although you could, but not a lot of coverage, which kind of stinks. But the fact that you're immune to Intimidate and you have 125 attack, you also get Moxie. So if they don't have Intimidate, you could also go Mold Breaker, which Mold Breaker you could do Max Quakes and ignore. You could ignore Levitate, like especially on like mons like Rotom. I think that's really underrated. You can do Feint, Sash Reversal stuff. You can just set up rocks or do a Helping Hand. But again, that 125 attack without being lowered by Intimidate is I think really useful. Or if it's super stally and maybe they're super physically bulky, just throw off a Guillotine. I mean, who cares? Here's another one, Porygon. Porygon is kind of just a budget P2, and you get the same abilities. Download if you get a boosted attack or special attack, really not that bad. And if you run Eviolite, I think it just has basically base 20 lower in every stat. So yeah, I mean but even if you run Eviolite, you're still decently bulky, so that's not bad. You get Ally Switch, Foul Play, again, pretty much all the same stuff P2 does. Quagsire. Quagsire I don't think is that great, but at least you do get the electric immunity, and you're only weak to grass, so you can always throw a Rindo on it. You know that's coming. But you get Unaware, so you can ignore if they're going for a boost, and you just throw off annoying moves. Yawn, Haze to remove their boosts. You can always Icy Wind. I mean, you get counter, so that's not the worst, and recover, and you are unaware. So if you do stockpile up, their boosts don't matter, but yours do. So you can start recovering, then stall them out. 95 HP with 85 defense and 65 specialty. Especially if you invest more in special bulk, like you're living some hits. That's not bad. With 85 attack, I guess you could go, throw up a stab, liquidation or high horsepower. That's still gonna do damage if it's stab and super effective. So I don't think it's the worst move. Here's one I really like, Rapidash. Rapidash is really nice. This is the normal form too. You get Flash Flyer, so a fire immunity, or Flame Body if they want to fake you out and they get burned potentially, so that's annoying. But you have 105 speed and 100 attack. Oh, that's really nice. And you could theoretically go special with 80 special attack too. Not great on the defenses, but you get fast Will-O-Wisp, Charm, or you can just go Flare Blitz. You get Ally Switch, which is kind of interesting. Not just the Galar version, but you get coverage with Wild Charge. Yeah, actually really decent coverage here. And then you can, you're just a fast Mon that can, you can throw off, you can also run Mystical Fire to lower special attack, even if you're not going special, so that's not bad. You get Bounce for max Airstreams, but yeah, like I said, Will-O-Wisp or Charm, you can just totally eliminate your opponent's physical threats, which is nice. Yeah, and Megahorn, Smart Strike. You could theoretically max Rapidash some games. And any Mon that you could theoretically max as a low tier is really nice. Another one that you could do that on is Sand Slash. You get speed through Sand Rush, so that's really cool if you have a Sand Abuser. You have 100 attacks, so that's really not that bad, and base 65 speed's pretty good in Sand Rush. 110 defense is pretty solid, and you can you get okay coverage, the typical like rock, ground, steel type of stuff, but like bug fighting, even ghost. You could run, I guess, Sash Counter or something. You could Scarf Earthquake it if you didn't want to go Sand Rush, or if you didn't have like a Sandstream user. But just the fact of having a ground type that you could potentially use really isn't that bad. All right, here's one that I drafted actually. Seeking I think is really nice. You get 2 useful but pretty useful abilities. Swift Swim and Lightning Rod. And Lightning Rod is as a water type is really cool, I think. You mainly go physical. I mean, I guess you could go special, or you could just kind of go bulky. Maybe, I mean, 80s and specialty and HP isn't bad. And 68 speed is pretty cool. You get you can scarf it, put flip turn, haze to lower setup stuff. Scald's always just annoying to throw off a burn chance potentially. You can but you can soak stuff. You could also just just horn drill something. Who cares? Go for it all. If your opponent's got an annoying threat, I think with 30% chance horn drill, there's a better chance on these one hit KO moves. There's a better chance that you hit 1 out of 2 than that you miss 2, because the chance to miss is 70%. 0.7 times 0.7 is 0.49. 1 minus 0.49 is 0.51. So that's the chance that you hit one of those 2. So there's greater than 50% chance that you hit 1 out of 2 horn drills, whereas there's less than 50% chance, 49%, that you miss them both. So hey, sometimes you want to take those odds if that's your win condition. All right, we'll try to pick this up a little bit. We've got Celio, which thick fat you can get really tanky with. Oblivious. If you do want to go physical, but base 90 with 70 defense, I mean, you're bulky. You can throw off yawns. You do have those 1-hit KOs with Fissure. You can set like stockpile Aqua Ring stuff and just be really annoying stall Pokemon with Eviolite. You can, I guess you can run Sheer Cold over Fissure. That's probably better. But you get Swagger, so that's not terrible. Yeah, you're base 45 speed, so you could Scarf it, like Scarf Blizzard or something, but you don't have great special attack, only 75, so not great. But you are just kind of an annoying, bulky water type, so that's that can sometimes be pretty useful. Another one, mainly for its ability, is going to be Shellos. So Shellos is just budget Gastrodon, right? Gets all pretty similar stuff, but not great defense. But again, if you throw Eviolite on it, not terrible bulk. And yeah, you're going to be Storm Drain and stuff. You can Yawn it, Clear Smog even. Not terrible. Skunk Tank, you can use, I think something really interesting with Skunk Tank you can do is you can do Stench, 10% chance to flinch, and you can run Sucker Punch, which is stab, which will do decent damage, but you're also going first, so you have a chance to flinch. So that's, I think, really, really funny. You can also do that with Feint, too, because you have +2 priority. And 84 speed really isn't terrible. I don't think people expect Skunk Tank to be that fast. 103 HP with about 60s on the defenses isn't terrible. You can live some hits, and base 93 attack is kind of nice. Throw off a big. Actually, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't get Gunk Shot, which is kind of dumb. But you can at least do Poison Jab, or Scarf Sucker Punches, Foul Plays, Throat Chops, whatever you want to do. You get Haze. Burning Jealousy is kind of nice if people go for like a boost. You also get Aftermath, which you could use if you don't want to run that chance of flinching, but at least you're getting 25% damage off on them regardless, like guaranteed. So that's pretty cool. Another one is Sliggoo. Sliggoo, you get some annoying moves, Acid Spray. You can go for like Body Slam, Paralysis maybe, or something. You can even do Counter and Life Dew, but what I think is really cool about Sliggoo is just as like a special defensive switch-in, 113 special defense with Eviolite and 68 HP. I mean, if you max that out, you are a special wall. That could be really, really annoying there. And you still have 83 special attacks, so that's not, it's really not terrible. You could throw off Dragon Pulses or something. Base 60 speed, again, not that slow. You're gonna be outspeeding like stuff that's trying to Trick Room and whatnot. But you can do some stuff with Sliggoo if you really want to do. I think the Slowpokes are interesting. So the Slowpokes get Oblivious, so they can't be taunted. So that's really cool, especially if they're going for Trick Room. Yeah, I think both of them are good options too. With Eviolite, you've got decent bulk since you have 90 HP. And you can also go Regenerator too if you don't think you're going to be taunted. But once you do, if you do set up Trick Room, you're really slow, 15 speed, and you could go. You can go Heal Pulse. You can do Surf to set up weakness policy stuff. You can Slack Off just to stay alive. You can do Yawn. I think the Galar version actually gets Foul Play too, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, I think you can definitely do some stuff with Slowpokes. Don't underestimate them. Snover, you might want to Scarf it at space 40 speed. Not great defenses. I don't know if you really want to spend Eviolite on that, especially with a 4x weakness. But hey, you can just like Scarf it and throw off a Leaf Storm. I believe it gets Leaf Storm. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's only yeah, maybe it's only Abomasnow gets Leaf Storm, but you can throw off a Woodhammer. You have base 62 attack. I mean, hey, it's stab Woodhammer. It's pretty strong. You get Blizzards and you set up the snow, so that's really nice. The hail. You get Ice Shard to set up weakness policy stuff. You could Scarf Swagger. I mean, you also get Sheer Cold just to go for those that percent chance. 1 out of 2, 51% chance. So yeah, I think Snover's not a bad pick. Probably better than Amara, honestly, if you want to go with that. Just as a hail setter. All right, we got Soul Rock. Soul Rock, you've got Levitate. Similar stuff to Lunatone. You do get Trick Room, but you are physical. You got 95 attack. So you just get different coverage there. You do get Flare Blitz too, so that's actually kind of cool. But you do get Ally Switch as well. Skill Swap, you can still do that type of stuff. So kind of interesting. Will-O-Wisp also, like having a Will-O-Wisper and just shutting down. You're also physical too. You can do like Scarf Explosion even, or even normal Gem Explosion. Like that's pretty strong with like 95 attack if you go Adamant. It's not terrible. Stun Fisk I don't think is terrible. I think it might only be honestly either of these probably should be in the lowest tier, but it might only be the Ground Electric one, the normal Stunfisk that's in the lowest tier. But with Ground Electric, you get at least an electric immunity there, and you have really not that bad stats in terms of bulk, like 99 specialty, 84 defense, and 109 HP. With your special attack at 81, like you can throw off decent. I think you get Earth Power. Yeah, it's decent Earth Powers and or like Electrowebs. You get Foul Play. That's annoying. You can Yawn stuff. You also get Static. So if they fake you out or just hit you with a physical move, I mean they have a 30% chance to get paralyzed. That's annoying. You get Mudshot to lower speed. You get Sucker Punch potentially proc weakness policies or just as a priority move. You get Eerie Impulse to shut them down too. Their special attack, so that's actually not terrible. Pseudo Widow is kind of cool. You get Sturdy, Rockhead, and Rattled, which all could be useful. Rockhead head smashes from a stab. Pseudo Widow do big damage. 115 defense isn't that terrible, especially because you can counter if you live a hit. You get Foul Play, you get Body Press with 115 defense. It's not the worst. You can also throw Sturdy on it though, and Sturdy counter is kind of cool. Also, you get Helping Hand, so that's not bad. Fake Tears if they set up Trick Room. I mean, you're base 30 speed, so if they do set up Trick Room, you're a potential max option if you don't get Intimidated or something like that. You do get a lot of good coverage with the Elemental Punches and Woodhammer, so a lot of good coverage there. Yeah, I think it's not a bad mod at all. There's another one for the abilities. It's going to be Swablu. You get Cloud9. You can also be kind of bulky with Cotton Guard and Eviolite. You only have 45 HP, but if you do get Cotton Guard off, you'd at least be somewhat physically bulky, but you are still 4 times weak to ice, so that's tough. With base 50 speed, you might either want to sash it and go Tailwind, which is kind of cool as a Tailwind user in the low tier. You get haze, defog. Um, let's see. You get weather, but you're mostly going to be running Cloud9, so you probably wouldn't use that. But you get Perish Song. That could be interesting. Dragon Pulse Paralysis chance, 30%. You can just go for Sing Hacks. I mean, again, the Cloud9 stuff just makes it annoying for your opponent to prep. A few more here. Got Unfazant, Super Luck with Scope Lens is really, really strong. Especially if you can just straight up throw off a max airstream. You have a 50% chance to crit. That's really cool. You can go Taunt, Tailwind, Power Herb, Sky Attack. I mean, your base 93 speed and you have 115 attack, so that's kind of cool. You can go Brave Bird. You can go with Hypnosis Hacks. I mean, yeah, it's really just Flying Stab. You can Scarf it and go U-turn even. So, yeah, I think Unfazant's not a terrible pick there. You've got again another Hail Setter, Vanillish. You've got weak armor and 80 special attack, so you could like throw off a Mach Punch and go weakness policy. And I don't know if you would necessarily want to max it, but you could at least throw off a big Blizzard or something like that. You also get Freeze Dry, which is cool. You get Ice Shard to set off weakness policies. You get Aurora Veil, so that can really help. You get Ally Switch too, which is annoying, priority. You can do Scarf Icy Wind stuff. Again, Sheer Cold for that percent chance. You can go with Mirror Armor if you go Eviolite, or sorry, Mirror Coat. If you go with Eviolite, make yourself a little bit bulkier potentially. So you got Vespiquen. You get Unnerve, which I think is really cool in draft because a lot of people run those resist berries, given that they know what you're bringing. But 102 on the defenses and 70 HP, that's pretty solid. Plus the ability to go physical or special. You are 4 times weak to rock, but 40 speed, you can also go trick, go in Trick Room, which is nice. You get not the best coverage, but flying and bug stab isn't the worst. You get you can go Defend Order and raise both your defense and specialty. That's pretty cool. It's like Cosmic Power, but you with 80 attack, if you get a Fell Stinger off and get a kill, you'd still be pretty physically threatening there. You can also go Struggle Bug. That's not bad. Lower their special attack. You can go Swagger. I don't think Vespiquen's a terrible pick necessarily. Yeah, you have a ground immunity, so it's at least another ground switch in that they have to account for. Vullaby, you get Overcoat, so you ignore Rage Powder, which is annoying. You can knock off. You probably wouldn't use weak armor, but you can with Eviolite, you'd be pretty bulky with 70 HP and then 75 and 65 in the defenses. And then you can do like Iron Defense and Roof stuff and be pretty physically bulky. You get Stab Foul Play, that's really annoying. Stab Snarls. Fake Tears even. You could potentially change weather if you want. Again, yeah, like that knockoff and with Overcoat, ignoring Rage Powder is really nice. And Tailwind. I mean, you get some really, really nice supports here. So Vullaby is definitely an overlooked option, I think. Vulpix, either normal or Lowland. It's just another weather setter. The normal one, you get Will-O-Wisp. You get Aurora Veil with the Alolan version. You get Ice Shards, have weakness policies potentially. You get the Sheer Cold percent chances, like I said. You get Foul Play with both of them, so that's kind of cool. You get Baby Doll Eyes with both of them. Lower their attack. That can just be really annoying. Like you're setting weather and you're lowering their attack, like essentially like an Intimidate on what mon you want. Like that's pretty cool. You get Burning Jealousy with the normal one. Freeze Dry with the special one, or with the Alolan one, which, I mean, if you are using Freeze Dry on like one of those mons, like it's 4 times effective on, like Pelipper or Gyarados or Dracovish, I mean, even with 50 special attack, like 4 times super effective is going to hurt. You get Howl, which is kind of cool with both of them. And even if you don't want All My Friends Are Dead, you can just Memento with the normal one. Take out an offensive threat and get a free switch. So that's kind of cool. All right, only a couple more here. You've got, probably not Whaler, but you got Wailord with Oblivious. If you go physically, which you have a 90 attack, so that's pretty good. You can't be intimidated, and you get a lot of good physical coverage. If you go special, you only get really water, ice, but again, you get water spout and 60 speed. You could go operate and trick room, I guess, but with 170 HP and 45 on the defenses, you could live some hits. You get soak, which is interesting, but you'd probably have to scarf since you're base 60 speed. You get weather ball, that's kind of interesting. If you go special, also noble roar. Covers for physical or special users, so that's not bad. I think Oblivious Whalelord's potential max option too, so that's kind of cool. Wish Cache, you get a ground type, and you also are Oblivious, so you can figure out if they you can block Intimidate, but you can also run Anticipation if you really want to figure out if they have grass coverage. But you only have 78 attack, so it's not great, and the defenses are not super good, but the HP at 110, you're probably still be living some hits unless it's a grass move. But again, you always run Rindo. But you get Fissure, you get it's really just like if you do need like a ground or a water type, like if you have a Mon, so basically if you have a Mon that's like, base 78 doesn't sound great. Like let's say you have a Mon that's base 110. Well, base 110 with like a water coverage move, but it's not stab, is not going to be as strong as a base 78 with stab. So sometimes stab can be pretty useful even if you are a lower base attack stat. So if you do just need that coverage from a tier 5, that can work. But yeah, you're probably going to be thrown off like either earthquakes, liquidations, maybe a Scarf Bulldoze or something. I mean, you're at base 60 speed, so with Scarf, you're at a decent speed there. But yeah, you might not die in one hit. That's not bad, and you get an Electric Community, and that is going to wrap it up for the 50 low tiers that I think you could use in draft. There's some others I didn't mention out there. You could use something like Tyrogue or Croagunk, Vacuum Wave, Mach Punch. Sometimes Drifloon is ranked kind of low. You get Unburden, Tailwind, Ally Switch, Will-O-Wisp, Strength Sap, stuff from that. That's kind of cool. So I'm sure there's some other gems out there I didn't mention, but these are 50 that I think are really useful and that you should consider if you don't want to just have a throwaway tier 5 on your team. So best of luck out there in your draft leagues, and for those VDL players, I'll be coming for you. My tier 5 seeking.